About 1 in 7 people entering a hospital need blood, and more than 41,000 blood donations are needed every day to support this operation. But some people refuse to donate blood and to have blood transfusion even if it means life or death for them, because it is against their faith. They are known as Jehovah's Witnesses, and I am one of them. When I was 3 years old, I had acute lymphocytic leukemia, which means, yep, blood transfusion. Since I wasn't old enough to decide for myself, my parents made a decision for me, and they chose to obey what the Bible says. Saying it wasn't easy is a huge understatement, believe me. It was heart wrenching because the first doctor I had told my parents I only had a few months to live if I were not to have a blood transfusion. And so my parents received criticisms from other people, even calling our religion a harsh one. But before we delve into what Jehovah's Witnesses believe in when it comes to blood transfusion, let us first take a look on what blood transfusion is.
Blood transfusion is the process wherein blood is being given to a person via the veins or intravenously uh, for the purpose of replacing blood that is lost during surgery or during or after a serious injury like vehicular accident or any form of accident, injury with massive blood loss, or it may be given to a person who is unable to produce normal blood, like if he has anemia. And the trigger point is when the hemoglobin falls below 10 grams per deciliter. That's an arbitrary value actually.
Here's a brief history on blood transfusion. In the winter of 1667, a violent madman named Antoine Moroy was brought to Jean-Baptiste Denis, eminent physician of King Louis XIV of France. Denis had a cure for Moroy's mania, a transfusion of calf's blood, which he thought would have a calming effect on his patient. But things did not go well for Moroy. After a second transfusion, his condition improved. But soon madness again seized the Frenchman, and before long he was dead. But despite its negative start, blood transfusion soon became the standard operating procedure. After fading and returning from the limelight over the years due to its controversial nature, discoveries and research improved the procedure and is now being used today in hospitals all over the world. Although history has shown us that blood transfusion played a vital role in preserving people's lives, Jehovah's Witnesses refuse to accept blood transfusion no matter what. Let us take a look on how people view that.
So, ano po ang opinion ninyo na hindi nagpapasali ng dugo yung mga Jehovah's
Yung feeling na ano, yung nararamdaman ko. One word, nakakatakot.
Sa tingin ko po, kung merong ibang treatment na pwedeng gawin, um, payag din ako. Pero kung talagang kailangan po talaga na magpasali ng dugo, um, syempre hindi ko na isasalang-alang yung saksi ako. Kasi kailangan po talaga.
Para sa akin, syempre, hindi na ako magpapa-transfer ng dugo. Kasi syempre, kung mabubuhay man ako, parang iisipin ko, nilabag ko rin yung parang batas ng reliyon. Parang ganun.
Unang-una kasi hindi ako religious na tao eh. Pero para sa akin, sabi nila, si God ay pro-life. And if it's a matter of life and death, tapos dahil sa religion mo hindi ka magsasali ng dugo, may kailangan kang tulungan kung mamatay na siya. Siguro mali na yun na sundan mo pa yung religion mo kasi buhay yun nakataya doon. At the end of the day, ang gusto naman ni God ay life. At pag hinarangan mo yun, parang hindi mo na rin sinundan yung will ni God. So, yun lang.
when I study the Bible, I have learned that blood is forbidden by God, the sovereign Lord, Jehovah. His name is Jehovah. It should not be given, should not be eaten, or should not be uh, 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 it, we should abstain from it, because it was commanded to Noah at Genesis 9 verse 4 that they should not eat blood, because blood represents life and blood is holy for Jehovah. And this commandment actually is being carried down to the time of to our time, as Christians. It was written in the books of Acts of the Apostles, chapter 15, verse 28-29, that we should abstain from any form of blood.
You may reason out, the Bible text mentioned does not specifically say to abstain from blood transfusions. But to illustrate, suppose a doctor were to tell you to abstain from alcoholic beverages. Would that simply mean that you should not drink alcohol but that you could have it injected into your veins? Of course not. Likewise, abstaining from blood means not taking it into our bodies at all. So the command to abstain from blood means that we would not allow anyone to transfuse blood into our veins.
If Jehovah's Witnesses do not accept blood transfusion, then what treatments do they accept as an alternative? And do bloodless treatments prove as effective as blood transfusion?
Of course, when blood is lost, there's blood loss, the primary treatment of the doctor is to stop the bleeding. So you adequate hemostasis, stop the bleeding, and then you can give volume expanders like Extran or any forms of IV fluids. And there are no, for example, in surgery, one can use the heart-lung machine to, or the lifesaver or cell salvage technique, wherein blood can be salvaged through the machine and can be given back to that individual without with the flow of blood not being interrupted. So other witnesses are acceptable to the treatment. And of course, when, for example, there is less production of hemoglobin, one may receive erythropoietin. It's a hormone that can increase the production of hemoglobin.
I mentioned at the outset that I had leukemia when I was 3. I was my doctor's first patient to receive a no blood treatment. And as you can probably see, the first doctor I had who told me I couldn't live without blood transfusion is wrong. But if that isn't enough, I want you to hear from my own doctor.
Yan. Ano po yung naramdaman nyo nung ginagawa nyo po sa akin for the first time yung bloodless treatment po?
Kinakabahan. Kinakabahan na magkakaroon ng malaking problema that will cause significant morbidity and mortality of you.
Umaasa po ba kayo nun na I'll make it through or not?
Siyempre, hindi sigurado. Kaya ano yun parang gamble na hindi natin ginawa yun pero wala naman tayong choice. Kaya ginawa namin. So parang nanalo tayo. Pero that was really a big gamble.
Ano po yung naramdaman po ninyo nung gumaling po ako?
Siyempre, tuwan-tuwa. Tuwan-tuwa, very happy na in spite of all the odds, yan, gumaling ka.
In case an accident happens and we are rendered unconscious, we carry this medical directive with us wherever we go. It is a signed document wherein we state that no transfusions of whole blood, red cells, white cells, platelets, or plasma will be given to us under any circumstances. At the end of the day, we are all entitled to believe what we want to. But as for me, I will not base my beliefs on a mere medical practice discovered by humans. I acknowledge that the Creator has the right to say how blood is to be treated, and I will take my stand in what the Bible says and obey it, because Jehovah created us and He knows what's best for us.